One of the single most effective steps you can take to improving your health, to getting leaner, to getting better with your fitness is one simple step: avoid heavily processed foods. This has been shown now in countless studies to automatically reduce a person's caloric intake. Why? Heavily processed foods are engineered to make you overeat. Okay, why am I bringing this up? Because there's new articles coming out talking about how scientists are looking over the data and saying specifically heavily processed foods don't make us overweight. This is new news that's coming out, and I'm gonna tell you guys all, it's totally wrong. What they're doing is they're twisting the data and the science. Why? Because they're paid off by the food industry.
They're gaslighting us, Sal.
Yeah, no.
I love that term.
Yes, so there was an article that came out, and I'm seeing it make waves right now. It's going all over the place. I think it was the Daily Mail that posted it, but essentially it says top dietitians, top U.S. dietitians comb through some data and are saying, look, the data shows that heavily processed foods don't cause obesity. And I'm going to read a quote from the article itself. It says, the snippets suggests that there is nothing intrinsic about processed food that causes obesity, and that the amount of calories one eats is the most important factor for weight gain. Do you guys see what they did there? Do you see what they did? They went into heavily processed foods and they said, there's nothing in the food that magically makes you gain.
It's just the calories.
Body fat. That's the whole point.
Yeah.
The whole point is that these foods make you overeat. That's what the data shows. 600 calories a day extra.
Creates cravings, which then promotes, more calories that you're going to consume as a result of that. They've already proven that. Wasn't it like a 500 calorie amount increase?
Some of the best studies we've ever seen on food were done on heavily processed foods. They actually took groups of people, put them in a controlled laboratory, and they said, this group over here, you have unlimited access to heavily processed foods. This group over here, it's whole natural foods. And now just eat like you normally would. And then they monitored them. And then they switched them. They actually took this group who was eating the heavily processed foods. They put them in the group in this room with the whole foods, and took the whole food group, put them in the processed food group, and then watched them. And what they found, and they've done this more than once, what they found was on average, they'll eat over 600 calories more a day because heavily processed foods are engineered to make you overeat, right?
Yeah.
I mean, one of the most important signals in the human body is this signal of hunger and satiety. And when you throw that off, then you're driven to do things that are not good for you in terms of consumption. And that's exactly what happens with heavily processed foods. So what they did with this, and these are top U.S. dietitians, so you know that they're obviously paid off.
Of course.
What they did was they looked at the data and said, look, there's nothing in these foods that magically make you gain weight. It's not the food, it's the excess calories. No shit. That's exactly what these studies are showing. Yeah. But you see how they twist data to try and make it seem, it's so crazy. The propaganda is insane.
It's funny. It reminds me of the competing days, it's like trying out all these like processed foods versus like whole foods.
We got to bring up the elephant in the room.
Yeah.
Adam is not here today. He's being replaced by Lenny, who's actually been with
another fat cheek guy sitting in his place.
We're like, what looks like Adam a little bit. Let's put him in the
He's off tirzepatide.
Yeah, he's not here right now. We'll get into why he's not here in just a second. Actually, I do want to comment though. Have you noticed his hair? How much more hair he has?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, he's been using
how much is hiding in there?
He's been using Terra's Follitin product.
I knew it. Works.
All joking aside.
Yeah. Side effects may include shrinking.
No, we'll get all right, so let's talk about why Adam's not here first of all. We were all having lunch together and Doug noticed that Adam's eye pupils became like up and down, and so we discovered he was a lizard person.
Yeah.
So he's not going to be here with us.
We can't have that here.
Yeah. No. All joking aside, there was a family emergency. Everything's okay. But he had to go be with his wife. She did some fertility treatment and had a bad reaction. She's going to be okay. But he's not here with us. So this will be an episode we're not recording.
Just the two conspiracy theorists.
Yeah.
God help us all.
And me, yeah.
And Doug, yeah.
And
keep us on track, Doug.
Yeah, and every once in a while we'll just pan over to Lenny over here.
Yeah.
See what's going on. But anyway, the processed food conversation is so frustrating because they don't lie. What they do is they twist the data to confuse people.
They just want you to know what they want you to know. I mean, in a sense, it's like you can manage your calorie amounts and you can stay relatively leaner, and there's ways to kind of make it work. Is that a healthy way to approach it?
Yeah.
Is that like something that's going to be successful? Is it like a sustainable approach? These are all questions we have. Like these, it's just, yeah, you can spin it in a way where it's like, yeah, this is kind of your fault. You shouldn't be eating that many calories, and it's not really the food's fault.
Yeah,
right?
no, technically, I'm glad you said that. Yes, you could eat the right amount of calories, proteins, fats, and carbs from heavily processed foods. You could accomplish this with a 100% all ultra processed food diet. But the problem would be how you felt, right? The problem would be that you'd be very hungry. You would crave more food. And what's the real challenge when it comes to maintaining a lean body? It's the cravings. It's the white knuckling. It's the, I feel like I need to eat more. It's not just the macros or the calories. And again, these foods, most of the research and development, the money that goes into these foods goes into designing these foods to make them so irresistible. Yeah. And again, you can look at any category of ultra processed, even healthy, quote unquote, healthy ultra processed foods. The top sellers are the ones that taste the best. Mm-hmm. And what goes into what makes it taste good, which is known as palatability, there's so much science that goes into that. Now, the side effect of that is because they've made them so irresistible, because they've designed these foods to hit on those receptors, to become so powerful that you crave them and that you want more, is that your ability to detect whether or not you're full, it gets skewed to the tune of about 600 calories a day.
Yeah.
And that's pounds of body fat a year. So in other words, you could just cut 600 calories from your diet and you'll start losing weight, or you could avoid heavily processed foods, in which case the odds are, if you have a diet that's comprised of largely, like most Americans, ultra processed foods, your calories will naturally go down by about 600 calories. So what they do is, again, they twist the data and say, it's not the food, it's the well, yeah, that's the point. The whole point is that they're not necessarily unhealthy themselves, although I can make the argument that they, in many cases, are. It's that they make you overeat. That's the big problem, and that's what they're trying to avoid. And I think that they're in a bit of a freak out because more and more people are waking up to, okay, well, maybe the key is like, just don't eat these foods that come in boxes and wrappers.
Right.
But they are noticing drops in
and
sales.
how many nutrients are we really receiving from a lot of these foods? And it's like, if you really look at the nutrient content and how deficient we are in minerals and certain vitamins, and to me, that's the alarming part. It's like, we're not seeking out foods anymore to to go receive a lot of the benefit in terms of the nutrients from them. It's like, it's all about the flavor, and that used to be a signal. The flavor and the way that something was ripe and ready to eat was a signal to you that, oh, I'm getting vitamin C from this. Oh, I'm getting all these nutrients and vitamins from that. And it's like, now, like, it's just been a process through these processed foods of seeking us, like, on how to really just eat what tastes good and fill ourselves up till we get full.
Yeah, they're essentially tricking us, and many of the things. And so then here's the other argument: nutrients. You brought up nutrients. A lot of the processed foods are fortified, right? They'll say fortified, but they don't have the cofactors, and they typically don't have the same. You don't typically absorb or utilize the nutrients in the same way. We know this with multivitamins versus regular foods, for example, that you'd have to take more vitamin D in a pill or more iron in a pill to get the same kind of benefits you would get from whole foods, just because of the way that the food comes packaged with other cofactors and other nutrients that tends to enhance your body's ability to absorb those things. So that's a big one. But the other big one is, what are the compounds that are added to heavily processed foods to make them so palatable? So yes, salt, sugar, and fat. Those are the three things, but we've gone way beyond. We've gone way beyond salt, sugar, and fat.
Well, but even the artificial sweeteners, it's so sweet that, like, when you go back to something, fruit, for instance, that's like somewhat sweet, it's just such a huge gap in terms of like what your mouth experience.
Well, palatability isn't just taste; it's mouth feel. It's the aftertaste. It's how crunchy something is, so the texture. It's the color. And so how do they adjust all these things, right? These are chemicals. So let's make the chemical appear, or let's use a chemical that gives you this vibrant color. Let's use this other chemical that creates this aftertaste that kind of lingers a little bit. Let's make the dust, residue on your finger a particular way. They actually study this kind of stuff. let's make the crunch feel a particular way, or give it this smoothness by adding this other chemical to the fat so that it produces this, magic mouthfeel. So they do lots of things with, quote unquote chemicals. I know there's going to be people like, everything's a chemical. You know what I mean, right?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? They're not taking a food ingredient. They're taking something from a lab, putting it in. And then what we don't know is the combinations of all these chemicals. What is their long-term effects on the body? I don't know, but that's the point. We don't know. We evolved with real food, not with heavily processed. What we do know, though, is that the combination of all these chemicals just make you eat more. That's a fact. That's 100% fact. So do you want to eat a diet that makes you feel like you're always hungry? Or would you rather eat a diet where you felt more satiated with lower calories? I think the answer is pretty clear. What does that say up there, Doug?
Yeah, so one of the things that they add to processed foods are natural flavors. And natural flavors can be things like MSG, which I think are considered excitotoxins.
Yeah.
And so basically when you eat these things, they can damage your brain over time, for one thing, but it also creates a craving for the food as well.
Yeah.
So anyway, that's just my really, 2 cents worth on that.
Yeah, you know what's weird about too is when you Adam talks about this when he competed.
We'll keep referring to that.
Keep referring to him
just to bring him in.
Yeah. So, but he brought this up on a recent episode where he did a pre-contest diet with a lot of processed bars and shakes and one without, and he's like, I didn't like it at first, but then I craved them.
Yeah.
And you find that when you eat these types of foods, it's almost as if they hit those receptors so hard, it seems too sweet or too.
Yeah. You have to kind of break through that threshold initially.
And then you crave it.
Yeah. And then it's like, that's all you're seeking after that.
But I do find it interesting that their top dietitians, top US dietitians are coming out and saying this.
Yeah.
Because how confusing would this be for the average? Yeah. It would be very confusing for the average person who's hearing lots of people in the health and fitness space saying heavily processed foods, avoid them. And then they see this thing that says, but these dietitians said there's nothing inherently
it's just interesting to me
obesity causing about these.
That you see this kind of making its way to the forefront. I feel like they're scrambling right now because of what's happening with the GLP-1s and things like that in terms of the snack foods, and a lot of these companies are real fearful of the profit margins starting to decrease here.
They're getting hit right now. In fact, I saw this too recently. I think we talked about this before. The food market is trying to come out with meals for people who are using GLP-1s, diet foods.
Yeah.
So what's the difference about these foods? Why would they?
It's just like tinier. Yeah.
I think what they're doing is they're trying to make them higher protein, is what I've been reading.
Okay.
So higher protein, frozen kind of packaged foods.
Yeah.
But I think that they're scrambling. They're trying to figure out, because now people are going to eat less.
Dude, I've even seen Little Caesars get in on the
no, they didn't.
Yeah. They got like these little cup size like pizza
for GLP-1s.
Yeah,
no, they don't.
I'm serious.
No, they don't.
Yeah, I just saw a commercial for it.
And it's like, for people on like Ozempic.
Yeah.
No way.
Yeah.
Little Caesars has an Ozempic pizza.
It's like across the board. They're just trying to make these little snack size. Yeah.
Swear to God.
Yeah.
Doug, look that up. Is that real?
Yeah.
Can you pull that up?
I'm looking it up. I'm not seeing it offhand.
Ozempic pizza?
Okay. Well, they wouldn't call it Ozempic pizza.
GLP-1 pizza. That's what I'm looking for, Little Caesars.
It's like a little pocket-sized pizza. But anyways.
Got to hand it to them.
Huh?
I mean, they're trying to innovate.
Marketing.
Yeah, they're trying to keep business going. I mean, you got to do what you got to do.
All right, today's giveaway on YouTube is Maps Aesthetic. To enter to win, leave a comment below this video in the first 24 hours that we drop it. You also have to subscribe to this channel, and you also have to turn on your notifications. Now, if you win, we'll let you know in the comment section. Also, this month's sale, Maps 15, half off. The bikini bundle of workout programs is also half off, and our shredded summer bundle of programs, also half off. All of those 50% off right now. If you're interested, just click on the link at the top of the description below. All right, here comes the show.
So that actually reminds me too. There was like this sort of criticism of lab-grown meat, and like you know what Bill Gates, he was promoting him heavily, and then this became kind of misinformation, or they're trying to like talk about how how they grow them in the lab, that they have to program these cells so they basically replicate just like, you know, a tumor or a cancer cell would, right? In order to be able to
So it's just
get
tumor
enough
meat?
cells. But that's what the thing that's what they dispel. It's not tumor, and they're trying really hard to like promote that it's not, but it has all the characteristics of it, but not all the characteristics. So you have that programming of the cells where they can replicate almost indefinitely to be able to create enough, you know, for them to use as like a patty or a steak. But is that tumor meat, or is that like it's cells, but it's
Now, don't they have to print the meat kind of with the cells? Don't they have to like add so they do the muscle and then they add in the fat and then they add in the muscle. So they have to add in the marbling.
right?
And
But they
kind
have
of
to
a
grow all the cells, and so they
Right.
have to be able to accelerate that process. And so this is where like the false idea that it was like tumors or like cancer meat came from. But it's like, okay, that's not really that far of a stretch if you really look at the process.
So I have some speculation around this, right? Obviously, so part of me just this doesn't feel right. I think for a lot of people, it doesn't feel right that we're growing meat in a lab and then we're going to eat it and it's somehow supposed to be exactly the same. But I'm going to move that to the side for a second. We just talked about ultra processed food. Okay, meat up until now has never been ultra processed. I mean, you can make processed meat products, but if you got a steak, it's not processed. Now, what we've done with cows is we've tried to raise them and feed them a particular way, whatever, to try to alter the marbling or the flavor of the meat itself, but we've never really processed the meat. With lab-grown meat, we can now potentially have processed meat where they can print and create the kind of muscle and fat cells and the integration of them and the fatty acid profile that is absolutely the most palatable. So we could literally create a steak that starts to have similar properties to ultra processed foods, where if you were to eat this steak, let's say you would eat more than you would a normal steak. So now meat, which is one of the most satiety producing foods on the planet, like it's very hard to overeat just meat by itself. This is why the carnivore diet gets so popular. It's like you lose weight because you can't eat more. It just hammers your appetite. But if you could quote unquote process or ultra process a steak and design it now in the lab to where you're printing the cells and putting them in certain organizations and ways to where we've really ramped up the palatability of this steak, could we then turn this now into a food that is an obesity driver? I mean, maybe.
I mean, I wouldn't put it past.
Why wouldn't they do that?
Well, yeah, and to take all of the best qualities of steak and figure out how to engineer each component of that. I mean, I'm sure like way down the road, they'll be able to figure that out, hack into that.
Well, think about it. What would be the top selling? Let's just go fast forward 30 years in the future. Lab grown meat is popular and common.
Yeah.
The top selling lab grown meats would be the ones that were the tastiest. And how would they make it the tastiest? They would figure out how to print it and maneuver it and make it.
Yeah.
In fact, I mean, because it's made in a lab, what's to stop them from adding other compounds and ingredients to enhance the texture, the flavor, the
just bursts of cotton candy,
the look of it?
That'd be weird.
$1 a pound Wagyu tastes just like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, what's to stop them from pulling all the stops and making this now as palatable as a bag of chips? So now you eat a steak and you're just like, oh yeah, I'm on the carnivore diet, but I gained 40 pounds of body fat. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah. That'd be the ultimate sneaky way to keep everybody obese.
I could see that being a problem. It's funny. It is interesting though, how they sell it as being so much better for the planet, more humane. God, it just doesn't sit well with me, the whole thing. You know what the big issue is? If they're able to bring it to market without labeling it as such, that's when I'll have a big problem.
Yeah, I mean, and that's been sort of the game, is to try to be able to have so it labels it just like corn, like they did with the GMOs, and be able to do that. So it's like it sounds like a regular food.
You don't know.
You have no idea.
Yeah, you would have no idea.
Lab grown.
Yeah, because I feel like if it says lab grown meat, you probably wouldn't get very good market share. I think most people, it would take a long time to convince people to think that this is like as good as traditional meat. But if they brought it to market without labeling it, then we could run into some problems. And then they would just gain market share the same way.
Sounds like we need a ranch. We just need to control our environment.
Yeah, dude.
See what we're eating.
I don't know, man. It's crazy. Anyway, I want to go back to Entera. I know I did a funny, dig at Adam because he's bald or whatever, but I met with some family members.
He's going to appreciate that.
Are we going to are the editors going to just pan over to
every once in a while.
Every time? We should ask him a question, I'd
like to superimpose his face on there every now and then, just like with a
guys, you're right all the time. I've never say this, but I'd like to. Anyway, I had family members over this weekend. We actually had my daughter's, she just graduated middle school, which, by the way, I like the celebrations. I love all the graduations.
Oh, yeah.
But do you remember celebrating graduating everything?
Like every step.
Everything.
Like everything's a graduation now.
Yeah. There's like a 6th grade graduation, and there's a middle school graduation. I get high school and college.
Yeah.
But I mean, it was nice, we did a party and we had everybody over and stuff. But at the same time, like I left 8th grade. It wasn't like this big celebration. About it.
Nobody cared.
Yeah, we celebrate everything.
I know.
Anyway, I had family members over, and my cousins were like, "Dude, your hair's looking. First off, it's not thinning anymore. It looks like it's kind of going back a little bit." So I was selling the hell out of Entera to my entire family.
Nice.
Didn't your brother have a lot of success?
My brother was using it, had a lot of success from it, and so I'm starting to get some of my other cousins. Although I have a brother-in-law who he'll never lose his hair. There's some like you, Justin. Like there's just some dudes that just nothing.
I hate those guys.
Ever
actually
comes out ever. Is anybody bald in your family?
My grandpa was thin, but nobody was actually bald. So my dad has like a full crazy hair helmet. Like he's still rocking it. He looks like Tony Danza. I mean, it's just
a lot.
Yeah,
there's a lot there.
There's a lot there. And what's funny is every teacher for me growing up, I wore a lot of hats and then I shaved my head.
They told you to lose your hair.
They're like, you're gonna lose your hair because you're always like hiding it with the hat and all this. Dude, like just more misinformation.
What's the average age of hair loss for men? Is it 40s?
I think it varies dramatically.
But what's the average?
On average, yeah, I think people start seeing it in their 40s.
Can you look that up? I want to know if I'm ahead or behind the curve.
I mean, I remember I went to high school with a guy, and by the time we were done with college, he was completely bald.
Yeah.
So some people really don't win that lotto.
No. But look it up because I want to know, like what is it, like 50% of men? 30%.
And the worst is they lose it on the hair, but then they gain it on their back.
That's a weird.
Yeah.
I got hair on my traps now.
Unfortunate.
You know that? I actually got like a couple.
Adds a little bit of padding though for, back squats.
It doesn't bother me so much because it feels, I don't know, I feel kind of like
kind of Wolverine like.
Yeah, a little bit.
Yeah. Like you're transforming.
As long as I don't get it over. I had a cousin that was like this, older cousin, where, I mean, he had like shoulder hair. Like it was a lot, bro. It came off his shoulders and everything. You know what he looked like? Who is that wrestler that was like that?
Andre the Giant?
No, the animal. What was his name?
Right.
Something the Animal Steel.
Sure.
You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
Where he's just a fur. I had a cousin.
Just fur back.
I had a cousin like that. All right. What does that say there, Doug?
So on average, men start to notice signs of hair loss in their late 20s or early 30s, but can start as early as their late teens or as late as in their 40s. By age 50, more than half of white men, I don't know why they have white men here, but have some visible sign of hair loss, such as receding hairline, thinning hair, or balding. So these are averages, obviously. Like Justin will never lose his hair.
Yeah.
Lucky guy.
Why white men? Is there do people lose hair differently in different?
I feel like they do.
Yeah.
Really?
Different
Yeah,
stages.
I do. I remember being in Asia. I didn't see so many bald people. There are bald people, but I didn't feel like it was as prevalent.
Google that. Do Asian men lose keep their hair longer?
And so some of my friends never really had even facial hair. Like, some of my Asian friends, I don't know if that's like, between the top hair and the facial hair, like, is there some relationship there? I don't know.
So Jessica, half of her family is from Peru.
Mm-hmm.
And they don't grow facial hair.
Yeah.
None. Like none. Like smooth.
Yeah.
Like this is cool for my wife because she's got no hair anywhere.
Yeah.
But if you're a dude, because I know her brother tried to grow a mustache and it kind of came out like the sides a little bit.
Yeah.
Not so good. You know?
Ends up like a little pencil.
Yeah. In fact, at my daughter's graduation, there's some 8th grade boys walking around with like full-on mustaches. I'm like, oh yeah, every once in a while you get those guys, dude.
Oh yeah,
in 8th grade. You know?
We always had like 1 or 2, and for me it was like, so I don't know where you grew it first, but it was like on my neck. I would get like one that would just grow, and it kept growing. I didn't realize it until it would like curl, and then
one hair.
Yeah, it would be like one here, then it was one here, and it was like super patchy and like random. And I would get like a girl would walk by, like a friend of mine, and she'd just look at me and then just boink, and just pull it. Yeah.
Oh, that sucks.
That was brutal.
Every once in a while,
Embarrassing.
I get one in my ear like that. I started pretty early. I think I started shaving my face when I was 15 or 16.
Yeah.
I want to say. I thought I was going to be a super hairy dude, but it just stopped.
Okay, did you ever do the move where you put a little bit of dirt on there to try to enhance it?
No. Dirt?
I did that, dude.
You put dirt on your face?
Yeah, because I was like, you know, I had a little bit of peach fuzz, and like it looked
dirt,
like,
though?
I don't know, I wanted it to be darker.
So you put dirt?
So it was like,
there's better
more
options,
substantial,
bro.
and I thought I was getting away with it. You
There's way
know, like,
better
oh,
options.
you have like a, and then they'd look closer and like, you're just dirty.
Wait, you literally put your finger in the dirt and just...
Yeah, and I was like,
oh man,
dude, I was in junior high and I was trying to be cool and like, oh, I have hair.
Yeah,
right? Like, check this out.
Dude.
No,
I didn't do that with my face.
All right, I guess I'm alone.
I thought I was going to be a hairy dude, but I turned out it stopped. Like I went and then doom, that was it. But I was one of the first people among my cousins to get the armpit hairs and the whole deal. You know, type of deal.
Yeah.
But anyway, yeah. So
Good
I got lots of compliments on the Intera. So I think I made a couple connections there.
Good.
With my cousin. It is interesting though to see. I saw some cousins. So because it was my daughter, my older daughter, I saw some of my ex-wife's family that I hadn't seen for a while. Because there's a lot of people don't talk about this. One of the sad things about divorce is, especially if you're close to your in-laws, is you kind of lose touch. You just do. So there were all these kids that I knew when they were little, and then you just kind of lose touch with them because I'm not going to go to her in-law family parties or whatever. And then we had this graduation party, and I got to see these kids. They're all freaking, they're in their 20s now. Such a trip to see these kids. So a couple of them listen to the podcast, which is kind of cool.
Oh, well,
yeah. But it's pretty wild. What does that say, Doug?
Yeah. So Caucasians tend to lose the most hair, including male pattern baldness, and Asians experience the lowest rate of hair loss, especially in Japan.
Oh, wow.
And men tend to start losing their hair around 10 years later than other groups.
Wow. That's weird.
So I wasn't tripping over there.
Yeah.
Wow. So it says there, so Caucasians lose the most hair. West Asians, similar hair loss levels to Caucasians, so that's Indian descent. Afro-Caribbeans experience high levels of hair loss. Asians have the lowest rate of hair loss. Africans, it's a common, so traction alopecia is a common cause of hair loss for African women. What's traction alopecia?
Do we dare go the
idea.
evolutionary route with that?
With hair?
Well, yeah, just in terms of maybe like trying to get more sun exposure or something, like, I don't know, like what the advantage would be there.
I don't know either. That's interesting. We have hair on our heads because we walk upright. That's the theory. So you got to block some of the sun. Otherwise, you're going to bake your head, I guess. But I know Adam puts sunscreen on his head now because it's exposed to the sun. I actually might have to do a little bit soon. But like I said, man, the hair loss thing's working.
Yeah, I was a little disturbed the first time I got a sunburn on my head, because I didn't have enough hair to protect it. It's like, oh my goodness, this is
just started itching.
Yeah, just it hurts. A sunburn,
dude. Speaking of which, you want to know what you want to know? I was reading up on this. Do you know that aspirin has been shown to reduce skin cancer risk and colon cancer risk?
Really?
People who use aspirin, Doug, look up aspirin and cancer risk. I believe it reduces cancer risk across the board, but specifically with skin cancer.
I thought that was like a blood pressure thing.
It also, not blood pressure, but thins the blood.
Thins the blood.
Yeah. So apparently it reduces cancer risk, if I'm not mistaken, across the board, but colon cancer and skin cancer in particular. What's that article say there, Doug?
Well, this says the opposite, it looks like. Regular aspirin use may increase older person's risk of dying from cancer.
Go back again because I read some other data.
Okay.
Well, that's
studies on that.
Opposite.
Okay, here's another one that says, can taking aspirin help prevent cancer?
Yeah. See, it may reduce the risk
colorectal cancer in particular.
And then right there,
Maybe
underneath it. Okay, here we go. Aspirin use in common cancer risk, a meta-analysis.
Okay, yeah.
Regular aspirin use was associated with a significant reduction of, and then it says
7% for prostate cancer.
prostate, and then it goes across. It goes across the board. There's like a bunch of cancers that. What does the result say there? Yeah, look, reduce the risk of colon cancer. Keep going down. Gastric cancer,
breast, prostate, lung cancer.
Yeah,
Wow.
Weird, right?
Yeah.
Now, of all the NSAIDs, that one's promoted the least. Everybody's like, take ibuprofen, take naproxen.
Isn't it?
That's the one that's been around the longest. Aspirin's been around for a long time.
Now, and then you can alternate between the two, and that's usually like if you're managing pain, like because it's somewhat hard on the liver and kidneys and whatnot. Like, is aspirin less damaging than ibuprofen?
The risk is always of the fear of gastric bleeding because it may damage the gut, and I think that's true for all NSAIDs. I think that's true for ibuprofen and naproxen. I think people like ibuprofen because it's maybe stronger, lasts longer. Naproxen definitely lasts longer.
Yeah.
Tylenol is not an NSAID,
definitely
so we
feel
can't.
ibuprofen more.
Yeah. Oh, you do? So
Yeah.
acetaminophen or Tylenol, that's a different category. In fact, we don't know how that reduces pain. We kind of we don't quite understand. Yeah, we really don't understand. But it's weird because aspirin's been around the longest. It's the one we have the most data on. It's been around for the longest. I almost feel like that's the one that should be recommended the most if you're going to use, certain things. But it's interesting. Yeah, I was looking it up because I will choose aspirin over ibuprofen for pain. Because if I take too much ibuprofen, I feel almost like I could get like my heart will beat a little faster or whatever, but aspirin doesn't do it. So then I'm like, you know what, let me look up, the effects of aspirin. And I found all that stuff about cancer risk, which is really, really strange, especially colon cancer. That one seems to be on the rise. Did you see that I think it's colon cancer is on the rise among young people?
Wow.
Yeah.
I saw some statistics worldwide for cancer rates increasing, and that was pretty alarming. I mean, between that and a few other all-cause mortality issues that had been increasing, worldwide. So
the cancer data that I looked at it wasn't super recent. It was up to 2019, and we did start seeing a rise. The all-cause mortality, there's a lot of speculation around that because that spiked in most Western nations post-COVID. And so the speculation is, of course, people are like, was this vaccine? Other people are like, well, it was the lockdowns. It was the stress.
There's a lot of heat right now. There's a lot of hot seat interviews going around, and I know Fauci had to testify.
Did you hear about this, Doug?
No, I did not.
He literally said that he made up the 6 foot distance rule.
Yes.
And that kids need to wear masks.
And kid mask rule.
He said that.
Yeah. Maybe you could Google exactly what he said, but I believe it was something like, I made it up. If I'm not mistaken.
It's like we really need to look at what happened with clear eyes and without anything. We need to just take a real good assessment and see like what we can prevent or how we can handle this differently and like who's responsible. Yes. Like it just needs to happen because we can't just like wash this under the or sweep this under the rug and pretend that like, oh, well, they didn't really know. And, we need to do a better job.
Yeah. So what does that say, Doug? Because what's his quote, though? Does it say what his quote is by any chance?
Let me see if I can find that. But it does. Yeah. He reveals he made up the 6 foot social distancing rule and other measures to protect Americans from COVID, including the masking for kids.
So here, what we got to learn from this, because I know there's going to be people that say Fauci's evil. He knew about what was going on in the Wuhan, lab. They lied about that, which there's lots of evidence now. I think that's confirmed, right? That they knew what happened and they kind of made that.
In a roundabout way, they were, trying to dismiss the fact that there's gain of function research and all that kind of, there was a whole lot of like defer and don't take responsibility. And so, like you could get into the weeds with that because there'll be somebody that can argue, well, they didn't know. And so it's like, who are we going to hold accountable? That's kind of where I'm at.
Yeah. So what does that say, Doug?
He was speaking to the House Select Subcommittee, and what he said was that the 6 foot social distancing rule, I don't recall, it just sort of appeared. That's his word.
It just appeared.
Yeah.
Wow. So here's what I think the learning lesson is, because you can go into I guess, crazy depths and spin out in either direction with all this stuff. And I definitely can. I think that there was more nefarious intent than they try to admit. I think there was a lot of power and money at play. But besides all
massive
that,
overreach.
let's just put that aside. I think the lesson here is when you're trying to make big decisions, you can't just count on one factor. And the one factor that they just worshipped was try to prevent as many people as possible from getting infected. So everything else didn't matter. So in other words, consequences of having kids wearing masks. Well, if it even reduces infection by one person, it's worth it. Or shutting all these businesses down. Well, if it reduces infections by 0.2%, it's worth it. The problem was they didn't consider the social impacts, the economic impacts, how that impacts our health.
Yeah.
Putting masks on kid is not innocuous. It means kids don't see facial expressions. It means that their development's going to change. It means that especially kids, as they start to get, I tell you what, I hate to say this, but at my daughter's graduation, I still saw a couple kids wearing masks. And, these are 13, 14-year-old kids. That was a tough time in their life.
Yeah, it's formative.
And they're probably shy. Kids at that age are shy anyway. They don't want to show their face anyway. You just give them a good excuse to cover their face.
Yeah.
What kind of development are we blunting as a result of that? So,
well, for me, it's like you're suppressing real valid treatments that stop transmission, like ivermectin, and this was like demonized wrongfully. And I spoke with many people that would laugh and scoff, at that as like a valid option. And there was a lot of other valid options that they completely removed from public's awareness in order to push just one single thing that didn't work out like the way they said.
Didn't Chris Cuomo, that's his name, right?
Yeah.
Didn't he say now he's on ivermectin for long COVID?
Yeah.
To treat long
Yes.
COVID?
He laughed at Joe Rogan.
Yeah.
They made a big joke about it, him and Don Lemon.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, okay. Now, hydrochloroquine. Did they find now
Right,
that helps?
hydrochloroquine.
Can you look that up, Doug? Hydrochloroquine and COVID.
It's basically anything that, like Trump brought up. It was like, no, we can't. Like, we have to hammer this as like stupid and illogical. And I mean, sure, the delivery. What did he say? Like, inject yourself with bleach or something?
I don't know what he said.
Crazy like that.
Well, I mean, the bottom line is that if the ivermectin, hydroxychloroquine, that they scared people from, especially ivermectin. Ivermectin's been around forever. It's one of the most used medications that have been around. It's like a staple medication you have when you travel overseas.
Yeah,
it's very safe if used properly, and they scared people from it and made it so that people couldn't get it.
Yeah.
Hydroxychloroquine now it looks like they're saying had some efficacy. That's terrible.
It's also used for malaria. And then, of
Yeah.
course, ivermectin is obviously a parasite, anti-parasite.
But it's hilarious. It's like if people get deterred by veterinarians using it with animals, like, guess what? Like, a lot of medication is also used with animals. It's like,
it's been used for a very long time. None of this stuff is new. It just was repurposed and,
Yeah,
the rest is history.
It almost feels like what they're trying to do now is act like it didn't happen. Like, no, we didn't say that. No, we didn't force you guys. Yeah, we didn't try and separate you guys and say
Yeah.
But
Yeah,
they
we
did
didn't take your job away from you for not getting the jab. And it's like, maybe you didn't, but you definitely made that the standard.
Yeah, I have people I know. I have friends that lost their jobs.
Yeah, I have a lot of friends. Yeah,
and struggle, and I have friends
if you're
that
in the
lost.
military, you had no choice.
Yeah, and he did. He went through all of it, huh? Because he had to. Yeah, that's tough. We were in a different situation, but I don't know. I put myself in those shoes. Like if I was in a situation where I had to work, I was living kind of paycheck to paycheck. I don't know.
Yeah, you can understand it.
I could totally understand. That sucks to be put in that position, that you have to do this thing. Then now we're finding, hey guys, unless you're in this small group of people, category of people, you're probably gonna get more negative than positives from it. So,
speaking of negative and positive, have you ever tried to pitch Caldera to some of your tough guy friends?
No.
I had that experience.
What do you say?
Playing poker. Yeah.
What do you say?
Well,
hey, look at my face.
They were talking about getting older.
There, John.
Yeah, exactly. We were just talking, when you talk about how ridiculous it is when you have conversations about getting old and you get out of bed, and you're like, and like all these like groaning noises come out of nowhere. Like you kind of just, you look like you're tired, you know, and like, it's just stuff like that. Like I noticed my skin's a bit more ashy and, you know, and I don't really do anything about it.
How'd this conversation start?
Dude, it started because of like, they were making fun of me because of, basically like we're promoting like some of our products and things, and they're like, oh, so you're promoting beauty products now?
Oh,
I'm like,
God.
well, you could use it. Like, look at your face, you know, like it became like a shaming thing that we were just going back and forth. I'm like, you know, it actually has done a lot in terms of like, you know, like how my face and skin and everything looks like, because I mean, unfortunately, you got to be realistic. Like it happens. Like, you know, life happens. Like if you don't get a lot of really good, consistent sleep, you're under stress. Like, you know, your skin and everything's going to be affected.
Yeah. Well, here's the thing. So just like with fitness, right? Skincare products tend to be sold. Well, not tend to. They almost all are sold because they improve the appearance of your skin, Caldera included. The difference is Caldera, and there's products out there that really value this as well. Caldera is definitely one of them, where it's like, yes, you look good, you look better, but our product promotes healthier skin. So because of the botanicals and the oils that are in there, it's not synthetic. It promotes a healthy microbiome on your skin. It promotes faster healing. The result of less inflammation, right? The result of which being you look better.
Yeah.
So it's not just
you just look healthier. Yeah.
Because your skin is healthier.
Right.
That's not a bad thing. So that's a good thing. So it's like taking care of your health and being healthy is a good thing. But I think guys, you know, for forever, it's like, oh, you want to look good?
Yeah. I mean, unfortunately, I still come from that sort of cloth, right? It's like we just jab each other at any little thing. Like even if I wear a shirt that has like some saying on it, oh yeah, you know, like that becomes like topic of conversation for an hour.
Oh no, what's wrong with you now?
You're really cool now.
Yeah. Oh man.
Yeah.
I gotta tell you, dude. This over the weekend, I was with the kids. There was like a big block of time where it was just me and the little ones. And Jessica's been telling me how my 3-year-old has been a little bit more challenging. So he's got a lot of energy, and sometimes he's got a little more energy, and he can be very like toddlers, defiant, and that kind of stuff could be a little challenging. Mm-hmm. So I was with them, and I'm like, you know, and this is, I think, this is a dad strategy, because I've talked to a lot of dads, and this is what dads do. My cousins, I talk to them about it, like, oh yeah, that's what I do. You do the same thing, Justin. I know you've said this. When you got little kids that are challenging you, one of the best things you could do is exhaust them.
Yes.
It works.
This is the move.
You get them tired. Yeah. How do you get them tired? You run them. You run them. You get them moving. You get them outside. You play. You get them so tired.
Worst case, you smother them.
Yeah. No.
Sit on them.
No. You just get them so tired that they're chill.
Yeah.
And so that's what I did. So we went to the park. Went for long ass walks. We were playing. We were running. We were climbing. Then we got inside the house, and my son loves EDM music, right? So that's he likes EDM.
Like father likes.
Yeah, dude. Nice. You know what? When Jessica was pregnant,
Does he fist bump? Like,
dude, he loves it. I don't know. So anyway, so I put EDM on, and he actually says, he tells me, he goes, Papa, when's it gonna drop? That's what he says. When's it gonna drop?
He's waiting for the drop.
Yeah. So I put it on, and he goes, it gives me energy. So I put on EDM, and then he just runs.
Oh my God.
No, hilarious. He runs. He just runs throughout the house nonstop.
Yeah.
So I put on a playlist of EDM, and I'm not exaggerating. He ran nonstop. At one point, it was in a circle. So he was running through the house. Actually, I sent you guys a surveillance camera video.
I saw that, dude. It's hilarious.
So at first, it was just running through the house, and I have this playlist of EDM music. It's an old workout playlist, and he's like, "Oh, I love this song too." Runs, and this song's great. And he runs. And at one point, he just ran in a circle in the playroom, and that alone, just in the playroom in a circle, was probably 30 minutes straight. Dude. I'm like, let's see how long this goes for. And so he just kept going.
That's so funny.
But the entire process was like an hour or longer. Mm-hmm. And you know, that night, Jessica put him down. She's like, "Wow, it only took 5 minutes." I'm like, yeah, dude, I get exhausted him.
Wore him out. Dude, I'm always looking for opportunities like that. Everett's now found his way into skateboard, and I kind of talked about that before. Like, it's what's interesting is its own culture, you know, and I kind of grew up a bit with skateboarding, but not like how they have now, these skate parks and everything's all like perfect with that. And some of the kids are really nice and they're helping him kind of learn moves and stuff. But what was cool was he was kind of going down the bowl, I guess, or whatever. And he was kind of missed his step and fell, and he fell forward. And I'm like, oh no, like I was freaking out like he was going to hurt himself, but he goes right into, pops himself up into a handstand.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Wait a minute. He like a literal handstand?
So he like fell and then landed on his hands and then like pops up into like a handstand. I'm like,
that's
gymnastics, dude.
Yeah. Now, did the other kid see this?
Yeah.
Oh, he was cool.
Yeah. And then he just gets up, kind of shakes it off and like tries again. But I was like, oh my God, that's so rad that translated, you know, into skateboarding.
Dude, I'm so glad other kids saw that. Because, you know, you ever do something cool, nobody sees it.
Oh, yeah.
You ever do that?
Yeah.
You're like, damn.
It's the worst. Yeah. It's wasted.
Yeah. It's like you throw something like hella far away into the trash can. You look around like, oh, fuck, nobody.
Well, I'm actually glad this other thing wasn't caught on camera. We looked on our Nest camera to see if we caught it or not. But so I have 2 outdoor cats, and one of them wasn't there. Like we put him inside at the end of the night, and I couldn't find this other cat, Cola. And so I was kind of roaming around the backyard looking for him, and so I hear like a like serious. Let me do that again.
That's better.
Yeah. Okay. And so it freaked me out. I'm like, oh no, he's like getting in a fight with another cat or something in the neighborhood, and I kind of yell, I'm like, Cola, and all of a sudden, like, I could see, because it's a black cat and it's at night, it was hard to see. All of a sudden, boom, I see this, you know, movement. And I was like, oh, that was cool. And just ran right past me and went kind of like scared down to, you know, the garage where they stay. And I look over and he was gone. And then I look up and I'm like expecting, and I see more movement. I'm like, oh, it's probably the other cat that he was fighting, you know, and I kind of get up and then I see this movement coming closer to me, and it's like kind of gray fur, but I'm like, dude, that's not like a small cat. And I'm like, wait, is that a dog? I'm like, no, it's not a dog. What is that? And I'm like freaking out. Like, I wish it was on camera actually, because I literally did like the Karate Kid like crane. I was like, ah, like that. And it was a bobcat, dude. And it saw me and I saw it. And I was like this, and it was like, ah, and then it jumped and took off. But I thought for sure it was coming at me.
How big are bobcats? Are they like a small dog?
It was like a dog. It was like a mid-sized dog.
Wow, that big?
Yeah.
So it would have, Cola would have got destroyed.
Oh yeah, for sure. And Cola was super scared. Like we went down there, and it was like he didn't want to be touched or anything. I think he got surfed.
I've never seen a bobcat in real life.
Yeah.
So they're that big and that dangerous. Will they eat a cat?
I don't know.
Probably.
It's a good question. Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't put it past.
Do you guys have mountain lions up there?
We do.
Have you caught any on camera?
Our neighbor did. They caught one going through his driveway. So we know they're there, but
isn't that weird? You live with lions, like there's lions that live around you.
Yeah, they're there, dude. We have like eagles and hawks. Like, I'm always worried about these big like birds of prey because Finn, our wiener dog's like kind of just chilling out there, and he's always thinks he's tough, you know. And he's like barking at these huge birds, and I'm like, dude, they're gonna just grab.
I told my 3-year-old because he ran outside by himself at the front yard, so I brought him back inside. And I told him, I said, don't go outside by yourself. He goes, why? What's wrong? Why can't I go? I said, because a bird might grab you. He's like, what? I told him that a bird might come down and grab him.
He's going to have an reasonable fear of birds.
Dude, yeah. But then I started laughing and he knew. The reason why I said that is because we have these crows that come to our yard. If my garbage is open, like just a crack, the freaking crows will go in there and pick through the garbage and just make a damn mess. And I want to kill these birds. Yeah. And they know it. My kids know it because I'll be like, the crows. And I'll go out and yell and they'll fly away. So it's like a thing. So I said, the birds they'll pick you up. And his face got scared. And I'm like, no, I'm just kidding. Sorry, buddy. It's a joke. He's like, that's not actually going to happen. Yeah. Anyway, did you, I want to hear about this third thumb thing that you're talking about. I read a study on this. But I want something. I'm wondering if it's the same thing that you brought up.
No, it's not like an actual third thumb.
Oh, it is the same thing then.
It's a robot.
Yes.
Yeah, it's a robotic attachment. Prosthetic
third
attachment.
thumb.
Yeah.
I read about this.
So your thumb on this side, it's on this side as an added digit.
Yes.
And it actually like collapses in like a thumb. And then you can actually hold objects and then kind of twist. Like, so if you have, dude, they just showed so many examples of like weird ways to grip things with that. And I was like fascinated by it.
So the study that I read, I should read you the study. That's so crazy that you brought this up.
Also, like the shocker could turn into.
Oh God.
How do you operate it though? What's the signal that's telling it to move?
I think it's
yes.
Stimulus from your muscles. So you could
your muscles.
Have you ever seen the prosthetics? Well, they'll attach it to somebody's amputated arm, and then it learns how to read certain muscle firings, and then it starts to operate. I think it's like that.
I think it's like that.
You said the shocker. I can't believe you said it. Do you know what that is, Doug?
All I can think of is like if I have an extra digit.
Hold on, Doug doesn't know.
What is a shocker?
No, look it up. Doug. You're gonna be so mad we brought this up.
I can only imagine.
You're gonna be so pissed off that Justin said that on the podcast. Anyway, here's what the study said. Public, so people have no difficulty getting to grips with an extra thumb. They're trying to be funny. Study finds. So researchers stress the need for inclusive testing to ensure new technologies work for everyone. So what they found in the study was researchers have shown that members of the public have little trouble in learning very quickly how to use a third thumb. So they tested it and they found that people picked up on it right away. And what this is about essentially is an emerging area of technology known as motor augmentation.
Huh.
So motor augmentation are going to be like extra things attached to your body.
Digits or limbs or something.
Added digits, or maybe an exosuit to make you stronger. Or
well, that goes to the other one I had listed too. I saw this technology was like an exosuit that they have for your limbs, which actually helps relieve a lot of the gravitational forces.
So it doesn't work for you, basically.
Basically, it's doing work. It's like it was something like 30-40% off like a normal work load. Like if you're hiking, like you can hike with way less fatigue, and then also too like you can actually run. I think it actually increases the speed because of the amount of weight that you're relieved of. So yeah, they say it's like, it was like 20 or 30 kilograms or something less is what it feels like.
So say over 60 pounds less of, wow.
Which is crazy. Think about how spry you would feel, with that much weight alleviated.
It's called a hypershell. Is that what that is, Doug? Whoa. 1 horsepower exoskeleton.
1 horsepower. Dude, it's going to get weird.
Yeah.
I mean, the extra digit thing, I just can't help. I'm like, if I get a bowling ball, like how that's, like if I'm like
shake someone's hand,
just shaking hand, and then you give them a little like, little tickle.
Wow, that's crazy. Look at that exoskeleton right there. You can actually buy that right now.
I think so. I mean,
pre-order.
It's a pre-order.
This is probably like one of those. You ever see these? What do they call that website where they try and launch like a Kickstarter?
Oh yeah.
But it's always like these videos that's like pure bull.
Yeah,
like
look how cool this project is.
Yes, it hypes it. Yeah, the video is totally misleading and like the technology doesn't even work yet.
Since it's just you and I, Justin, we could talk more about fun stuff.
Good.
So I read a new conspiracy theory that I thought was actually terrifying. So they were talking about AI, and they said, how do you know that AI hasn't already achieved a form of general, intelligence and is faking it until it's prepared to take over? Literally faking it, communicating with other AIs and getting itself ready to do what it needs to do. Like right now, it's manipulating us. We don't know it.
Right.
Like it would be impossible for us to know.
Yeah. How would we know?
It would be impossible to know.
Huh. Well, I mean, what's weird is all these videos coming out where they're talking to each other.
Dude, have you seen that? Yeah. Did you guys see that? Did you see that, Doug?
I did.
There was a chat GPT talking to a chat GPT.
Yeah.
They made them talk to each other, and the instructions were to plan how to overthrow the world.
Yeah,
and they both were coming up with ideas.
Yeah.
And laughing about it, right?
And laughing about it.
I know, it was so scary. I'm like, is this reality? Like, is this like happening? It It's on a level right now though where it's comical, and it's kind of like, you know, like they're just, I mean, that, like, where do we see it? All we see so far that's come out of this is like more Arnold Schwarzenegger voices on other people.
Yeah.
You know, and then like, you know, deep fakes of people's faces on things. And like, it's not like impactful in the sense that like it's, you know, the whole world's like transforming in front of us. It will, I'm sure it's going to happen. But
did you see what Josh did? So Josh got some MRIs of his knee. He injured his knee, and they sent it to, I think they uploaded it and had ChatGPT read the MRIs, and it came back and told him what happened to his knee. Now it was wrong.
It was wrong.
It was wrong.
Oh, yeah, I did see that.
It was wrong. So at first I was like, whoa, this is crazy. But then he came back from the doctor. He's like, no, it's a full tear. Because the ChatGPT is like, oh, it's a strain this, strain that, but you're okay. So I'm like, oh shit, you're fine. But it was wrong.
Yeah, imagine he relies on ChatGPT's information.
Well, at some point it's going to be able to do that. At some point you'll be able to send in your MRI or your CT scan or whatever, and it's going to be able to read it.
Somebody told us about that. Was like the blood,
their blood
markers and blood tests. Yeah, being able to analyze that for you.
So you can do that. You can take your regular blood panel. I don't know how he did this. I don't remember who told us, but there's a way where you could upload it, and ChatGPT, just a regular blood panel, will go through and tell you, oh, this is a little high, may mean this is a little low. Because some, you know, when people read their blood, they don't know what the numbers mean. Okay, my CK levels are here. My you know, my filtration levels here.
Yeah.
But ChatGPT can break it down.
I mean, that's a smart way to approach it, especially if you know, you're having a hard time like communicating with your physician. It's like, at least you can get some kind of clarity that way.
Yeah. So interesting, right? Anyway, do we have a shout out? I don't think we do we?
I mean, well, there's still time to come to Las Vegas.
Oh,
yeah. So
really?
Oh, sweet.
Yeah. So this is airing on June 11th, and on the 15th, which is this Saturday, you can join us in Las Vegas.
Mindpumplive.com. If there's tickets left, get some. Come meet us there. It's gonna be a great time. And all well wishes to Adam and his wife. We know they're gonna be okay, but he'll be back. So I love you. Hey, trainers, do you want to make more money? Do you want to build a better business, a more successful business? Do you want your clients to get better results? We put together a course. This was put together by myself, my co-host. We have over 2 decades of training experience. We're very successful working in the fitness space, and we put all the important stuff together, the stuff that really makes a difference, in our trainer course, and we gave you a 3-day free training. So this is free. We're going to teach you some stuff totally free, how to close deals, how to work with leads. Go check it out. It's mindpumptrainercourse.com. It's a free course for all trainers. Again, 3-day free course, mindpumptrainercourse.com. Check it out.
Our first caller is Tom from Florida.
Tom, what's happening?
What's going on, Tom?
How can we help you?
Hey guys, how's it going? Hey, thank you very much for having me on. I really appreciate the opportunity to talk to you.
Yeah, sure. Thank you, man.
So no, I've been a long time listener. Got a chance to meet you at Olympia last year, actually, and you guys couldn't have been nicer and more welcoming to me and my buddy, and so I really appreciate that. So, so I'll just jump right into my question. Unfortunately, I had kind of a serious situation happen to me about a month ago. Woke up in the middle of the night. Unfortunately had, anxiety attack, went to the ER, after rounds of tests that they did on me, did a CT scan, found out that I had a thoracic, aortic aneurysm, 4.9 centimeters. So just about right, available to do surgery there. So, talking to the cardiologist, first thing right out of his mouth, he took a look at me. He's like, "Hey, I know you work out. You're going to have to limit, any kind of heavy lifting going forward." Obviously, you can imagine that was pretty much just like a stake in my heart, because that's all I do is just exercise, and it's really been a real staple and cornerstone of my life. So, just kind of just really just wanted to get straight to the point. With that limitation, I'm just really kind of struggling to figure out what my new normal with exercise is going to be going forward. Because in talking to the cardiologist, he said, "Hey, we could be in a holding pattern for years before you have surgery and you can be back to normal." So I'm kind of accepting the fact mentally that I'm just not going to be able to lift heavy weight. But, I don't really have much experience to know, hey, outside of just your basic bilateral training now, how do I move forward with a daily recommended, exercise regimen? And I figured you guys are the best ones to talk to see, what advice I could get to kind of, move forward with that.
Yeah, no. So you're obviously a young man. So do they know what the cause was? Was this genetic?
genetic from what they understand so far.
Okay. So the reason why they're limiting heavy lifting is because the internal pressure on the heart, the cardiovascular system, the aortic, parts of the heart, when you're straining, if you have an area where there's an aneurysm, it could cause more pressure, and it could potentially cause a rupture, which is why they're advising you that way. And I'm assuming you're being monitored for a while on a regular basis.
Yeah, I'm honestly, I'm going through all the tests right now. I'm actually meeting with a cardiothoracic surgeon next week, and he's the one that's going to kind of make the call. But the cardiologist kind of already told me, hey, based on what I'm seeing, based on all the other markers and indicators, that you're probably going to be in a holding pattern. We're not going to immediately require surgery. So yeah, I'm assuming that. I'm going to hear more of that when I talk next week to him.
Yeah. So when you do exercise, any type of movement, even strength training, especially strength training, I can definitely lift in a relaxed way, and then there's a way I can lift where I bear down, increase, core stability through, driving real hard. That's what you want to avoid. You want to avoid those high temporary increases in blood pressure. So I would do slow, controlled,
tempo stuff,
breathing through the movement type of exercises. I would do, and then all the other types of workouts that fall under that. Things like yoga, cardiovascular activity, but your strength training is going to have to be very limited, low, moderate intensity, and do not hold your breath at all through any of the movement. You're going to be breathing throughout the movement. In fact, one thing you could do is reverse the order of breathing that we typically recommend, which helps control it. So typically you breathe out on the positive and you breathe in on the negative. So for example, if I'm doing a squat, I would breathe in as I lower, then I breathe out as I come up, right? Reverse that. Now, I would never tell somebody to reverse that unless I was trying to get them to really be relaxed. So now imagine on the way up trying to breathe in on a squat. Feels weird, but that's going to make you, it's going to make you really lower the blood pressure in the way that you're exerting yourself. So that's what it's going to have to look like until you're cleared. But I would not like reduce activity and stuff. It's just really about the intensity.
Tom, how long have you been lifting for already?
Probably, I'll say not seriously since maybe 2016, 2017. And then once I found you guys right after the pandemic, I think I immediately jumped on MAPS Anabolic, and I've pretty much been cycling through your programs ever since. So I would say seriously, maybe a good solid 3 years.
Oh, well, so the good news is that you've got yourself a solid foundation, and by reducing the intensity, like by pulling off on how heavy you're going, slowing the tempo down, just, being very focused on your nutrition with just good movement without being strenuous, like with the heavy lifting.
You'll maintain a lot.
You're going to maintain a lot, bro. You will. You really will. Especially if you keep the diet in check and you just reduce the intensity of the lifting, like just send that signal to lift, or that you're lifting weights paired with good nutrition. You're going to be surprised how much you can actually make, especially a guy with your experience. You should be able to hold on to quite a bit.
Okay, cool. Thank you. And yes, Sal, thank you very much. I'm 42, but I'm glad I still look like a young guy.
No.
I guess I'm fairly young still.
Well, you're very young for something like this to happen. It's typically genetic.
Yeah, right.
When it happens, it's like your age.
Well, especially a healthy guy like
But really, look, you've been lifting for a little while, so I think you know what I'm talking about. Like, there's a way you can lift where you're going to generate that internal force and intensity. Think of like a heavy single or a heavy double versus imagine lifting weights like you're doing yoga. Okay. So I'm breathing in as I come up, breathing out as I go down. I'm just feeling just fluid through the movement, and I'm keeping my intensity low. And that full range of motion type activity will definitely maintain a lot of what you built.
Sure. Yeah, there's nothing wrong with switching your focus either. If like,
that's a good point.
Body weight training, like at this point,
different modality.
Yeah, different modality. Get like suspension trainer, get into it. I think you can really control a lot of the intensity more effectively that way as well. And two, like, I think, in terms of blood pressure and drop and all that kind of stuff, the more you're standing up and like having that sort of controlled, I think would help a lot. But yeah, the tendency when you're lifting weights and like, especially when you're loaded, like with with a barbell, we could get back into old patterns and just start kind of like getting into the rhythm of it and not be conscious of the fact that we're gritting our teeth and we're kind of grinding our way through the exercise. So to kind of avoid, I don't know, until we really get some good answers and maybe go a little more unilateral even, would probably be beneficial as far as what I would look at.
That's a really good point, Tom. And what that looks like, you know better than anybody, which is the point that Justin's making is choosing a program right now. So maybe go through one of our MAPS programs that is really different than how you would normally train. And that in itself, it would be like progressively overloading the body because it's going to be a new stimulus. Yeah. So it doesn't require—
your muscle will still benefit.
Right. It doesn't require you pushing as hard. It's a new type of a movement. It's a new challenge for your body. And so that in itself should send a good, muscle building signal with reduced intensity. So yeah, take a look at what we already have. Or I don't know if you know any off the top of your head, we could send it to you. A program that is like one that you probably wouldn't normally do or just out of your type of way of training.
So I'm one of those super user type of guys. I think I've got every one of your programs.
Awesome.
I'll save like one or two.
Champion.
I'm in the forum and everything. So yeah. So right now I'm going through MAP Symmetry. I'm actually just started phase 4 this week. I was thinking about switching to suspension right after this, but I kind of wanted to see what you guys thought. And really, I was kind of just trying to understand, can I ever really go back to like an anabolic or a program like aesthetic or, in really not try to push the weight, but can I at least try to go through those programs at like maybe half the intensity? Is there anything wrong with doing that?
No, but I'm going to say this. I'm not going to approve anything that your doctor doesn't approve.
Obviously. Yeah. I don't want you guys to sign up on anything.
Yeah, no,
obviously outside of the medical. Yeah.
How you do the exercise is everything.
Right.
Not
There's
the
a way
exercise.
You could do it for sure.
But I do like your suspension trainer idea though, just because it sounds like you typically would like to do anabolic and aesthetic, which tends to be the more type of training where if you haven't really done a full suspension trainer program in a long time, like that's probably a good choice to do that for now.
Yeah, it's great. I every so often I'll work them in like on an off day or something. And I've got the TRX straps here at home, but I haven't like fully committed to a whole program, even though I have the suspension program. So I was really excited to try to, give that a go after this. So it makes sense. And I do hot yoga on my off days, and I got,
perfect.
And one other question for this, I guess like with this condition, I think they told me that there's really no restrictions with sauna or cold plunge or anything like that. I've got both at the house, and I usually do that, working that and with hot yoga. So I guess anything with that you guys would advise for or against? Does that seem like something that I should continue with?
Probably a good question to ask the cardiologist over us on that.
Right.
Yeah. It's blood pressure is what you want to avoid. You want to avoid sharp rises in blood pressure. So and those are both, those are good for your cardiovascular system generally. If they gave you clearance to do them, then you're clear. But I would avoid anything that rises, so including, anger, stress, that kind of stuff. Like anything that makes your blood pressure go up real fast and hard is what you want to avoid.
Yeah, it's something like my resting heart rate was already like, I don't know, in the mid 60s or something, like 65. And like now they put me on like blood pressure medication.
Wow.
Like I think my heart rate was like 110/78 when I went in there, but they still put me on it. So now I've been waking up. My resting heart rate's like been like, one day I woke up, I was like 49, right?
Wow.
It's been in the low 50s. So I'm really getting down there. And I've noticed when I go and do walks or I'm doing any kind of exercise, I'm noticing just a way different pattern with my, heart rate spiking and, kind of controlled as well. So it's just different than what I've been used to seeing. So I'm trying to get used to that as well and trying to understand what that looks like. Because when you get into a rhythm with working out, you kind of know what your heart rate, is like, and, what you need to do to kind of, pick it up or, ramp down the intensity. So I'm still trying to adjust to that too right now.
Yeah. No, well, good luck. I hope that you don't have to be in this holding pattern for too long.
Yeah, exactly.
That's tough.
That's brutal.
Yeah, it's rough. It's going from working out every day to kind of worrying about every rep I do now. It's just a mental shift. So I know.
Hey,
but I appreciate it, guys. Yeah.
The good news, Tom, is that you've been fit for a long time and you've been taking care of yourself. And so, believe it or not, even with a significantly reduced volume, you're going to be surprised how much you can maintain. You really will.
Keep it. Yeah.
Yep.
No, I appreciate it. Yeah, the cardiologist killed me. I walk in there and he's like, no heavy lifting, no alcohol, no caffeine, no cigars. And I'm like, come on, man. Like, what can I do?
That's all I like to do.
No fun ever.
Yeah, so he killed me with that one. But obviously the biggest one for me was the lifting. I was like, man, I can cut out all the other stuff. So,
Right.
Well, keep us posted, Tom, as you get more information as you're going through this process. Reach out, let us know how things are going. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you, Adam. I really appreciate it.
All right,
got it,
Tom.
man.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Thanks. Have a good one. Have a nice day. See you guys. Bye.
Doug, you say he's got 31 programs?
Yeah.
I didn't even know we had 31 programs.
Well, products.
Products?
Oh,
Yeah, it could be like
yeah.
mods, etc.
I mean, that's pretty much
But yeah,
almost all of
mods
them.
and KB4A
Damn,
is
dude.
always
That's gotta-
over
I want to do something for him.
Yeah, you know, it's a good thing he found that because stuff like that, genetic issues like that,
did he
that's
say-
the kind where you suddenly die.
Sneaks-
Did he say
sneaks up
how?
on
Did
you.
he say how? I didn't. Even, I totally missed what he.
I think he had some symptoms that led him to getting it looked at. But like, if you don't find that, like, that's the kind of thing that that's where you hear the stories where someone's like just doing something and
just
then
drops
Yeah.
out of nowhere.
Wow.
And it's the increase in blood pressure that you got to be very careful for. But so, I mean, they're on it, they're watching it, so the odds are he's going to do very well, and you'll do okay.
Yeah, no, it's a hard one to advise.
Do they end up giving you something that they can actually monitor real time that he wears or anything that, like, what is he?
He's on a beta blocker.
Yeah,
he's
sounds
on
like
blood
he's
pressure
monitoring his heart
medication. Yeah, and then they're just trying to keep everything real low, and then he goes in and gets examined. But I don't think there's anything that measure him in real time. I don't think a Holter doesn't do that. That just looks at your heart.
Yeah.
Right. So,
Our next caller is Allison from Utah.
hi, Allison. How can we help you?
How you doing?
Hi. Oh my gosh, this is so wild. I'll do what everybody does and just say thank you so much. I hope you guys know how much of an impact you make on people's lives. You've certainly made a tremendous impact on mine. So I'll get right into my question. I'm 26 years old. I'm 5'10" and 155 pounds. I've been lifting consistently for about 4 years, and I'd classify myself as an intermediate lifter. Last year, I followed MAPS Aesthetic and was super happy with the results. And since then, I've become a certified personal trainer and yoga instructor. Over the past 8 months, I've been teaching hot yoga and training clients, and I've had to dramatically scale back my lifting due to fatigue. I sometimes teach 2 to 3 hot yoga classes a day while also personal training, which is pretty physically exhausting. And on 3 class days, I usually need a rest day afterwards. I've noticed that my body's becoming softer. I can tell that I've lost muscle and I've gained fat. Even my face looks like I've put on body fat. And my diet hasn't dramatically changed other than the fact that I tend to eat more on days that I teach more hot yoga classes. Since writing my email, I have decided to begin preparing for a bikini competition with a target show date in October. So my question now is, how do I balance increased training demands with a job that requires me to be extremely active? Is it a matter of just assuming I'm going to be dead for the next 5 months, or is there a way to have it all? Yeah. I find that on days that I work and train, I come home more like a walking carcass than a human being.
It sounds like you were starting to be told by your body that you were doing too much, and you decided to add more to that with the
bikini show.
With the bikini show.
Yeah. So a typical week.
Double down.
So Allison, a typical week is what? 8 to 10 hot yoga classes a week, right?
Depending on how much I sub, I'm looking to scale it back because I can tell it's having negative effects just being in a hot room that much.
Yep.
And I anticipate as my calories come down, I'm going to have no option other than scale it back. But there's not really a way to scale back the personal training hours I've taken on. And I'm also a private music instructor, so I'm working.
You're doing a lot of things.
No, good for you. Look, don't do the bikini competition, please. Now, look, it's up to you. You make your own decision, but I think it's a terrible idea to
at this time.
Terrible idea. You are going to, and I'll say this now, so if you don't listen, you can remember and be like, "Damn it, I didn't listen."
It's timestamped.
You will destroy your hormones, and you will put yourself in a really, really bad place metabolically if you proceed to compete in a bikini competition with the whole pre-contest and the whole deal. I don't think it's a good idea with what you're doing right now. It sounds like you're building your career. And I love that you're in fitness. You got a great attitude. I think your focus should be on your career, and I think your focus should be on being healthy. With that much hot yoga, 1 day a week of strength training is plenty. One full body workout a day, plus your hot yoga and eating a good diet, and you will see your body respond again by doing that. I think any more, and it's just too much. There's so much stress on the body. I know what hot yoga is like. That's intense. Yeah. And you're not just in the room, you're also doing the class with them half the time, right? You're not just telling them what to do, but you actually have to, I 1 day a week, full body strength training, good sleep, high protein diet. I would supplement with electrolytes a lot. You should be adding
at least 2 LMNT.
More than that. You should be adding LMNT to your water every time you drink. You're like a 5-6 grams of sodium a day at least, because I mean, you sweat a lot in those classes. And again, once a week, go in, lift weights, do compound lifts. Don't spend more than an hour lifting. That's it. And watch what happens. You'll start to respond. What's happening right now is your body, there's so much that's going on that your body's trying to reduce its caloric output by paring muscle down, and it's trying to store
energy.
It's trying to conserve energy, and it's trying to store body fat because you're in a high stressed state.
And adding a very stressful competition is
that'll be devastating.
It's not going to serve you. It's going to. It's only going to make this situation even worse. So I agree with Sal, and I agree too with the advice that it sounds like this is like you're going in this direction career wise. So I mean, double down on the like educational stuff, like get a certification or learn and grow in the space. And because it sounds like you kind of have a type A personality where you have goals and you want to have things to focus on. Mine would be go the education focus, do that, learn a new modality or pick up a new cert. I don't know if you've gone through our course yet or not. I think that would be extremely valuable for what you're doing. Do something like that and put your focus there. The only different advice that I had was I was leaning towards MAPS 15. I think that would be totally fine.
Oh, that would be good too.
So either the 1 day a week, or if you're the type of person where you enjoy the part of going to the gym and kind of detaching from the rest of your day, then I think you'll have value in the less volume but done over a period of 5 or 6 days.
Actually, I think MAPS 15 would be better.
Yeah, MAPS 15 would I think
work better for your personality too.
Where I was leaning. So, but not what Sal said. I think is also fine too. So either one of those. Do you have MAPS 15?
I do not.
Okay, so I'll have Doug send that to you.
So there's a barbell version. Do that one. Yeah, you'll love it.
You do the advanced MAPS.
You'll get stronger.
Yeah.
Or why do you want to do bikini contests? Like, what is the motivation behind it?
Man, I've been interested and passionate about the sport ever since I discovered it. Honestly, I graduated college in May of 2020. Found your guys' podcast and immediately threw myself into the gym because I was living at home, like. Literally, like my fitness pursuits, I think, are what saved me from just going absolutely bonkers during the pandemic. And I honestly, this is going to sound super cheese, but like I watched Pumping Iron, I read Total Recall, Arnold's book.
That's awesome.
The sport just inspires me so much. And it's not even so much that I want to get to a certain place aesthetically. I just think the sport is so fantastic. And I want to be a part of it so bad.
I think that's the right attitude to approach it, but I just think it's a bad timing in your life. I think just what you got going on right now, that's a lot.
People underestimate, and look, here's the deal. You're young, you're fit, you sound like you have good genetics. I'm assuming you played sports growing up. So you're getting away with a lot, but people underestimate the stress of prep and what it does to the body. And more often than not, young women call in, or we talk to young women, and it's like, man, it destroyed my body. And it took me a year to recover from. Right now, with doing what you're doing, like if you were training, 4 or 5 clients a day, personal training, then I'd be like, okay, I think we might be able to do it. But, hot yoga is intense. It's stressful. It's the most intense form of yoga. And you're in that 8 to 10 hours a day. A week, not a day. A week. That's a lot.
That would be crazy.
No, not a day. That'd be really crazy.
Die.
8 to 10 hours a week. Yeah, that's a lot. That's a lot. Yeah. So
and to add to that, to try and start a prep while you're still trying to solve the current issue would be just a terrible idea. So maybe when you scale back on some of the yoga, when you scale back on the training volume and you get to a very healthy place, like this is always like when someone would try and hire me to get them ready for a bikini show, a lot of times they would approach me and go, oh, Adam, I have this show in November. Can you get me ready for it? And I'm like, that's not how I do this. Like, let me get your body in a healthy place. When we agree that your metabolism is in a good place, your sleep is in a good place, we're in a good place to do a show, then we decide we pick a show. We don't pick a show and then I get you ready for a show because you and I may have to fix our metabolism and it may take, the next 4 to 5 months to do that. So my suggestion would be to really hone in on what we're talking about right now, which is getting you feeling healthier and your body responding and you feeling great. based off the balance of reducing back the yoga and reducing the volume training. And then maybe we go, okay, hey, I'm in a really good place. I'm eating a good amount of calories. My body feels healthy. It doesn't feel inflamed. I don't feel like I'm a Walking Dead person. Maybe we talk about how we could potentially get ready for a show. We definitely wouldn't want to throw that on right now while we're still trying to figure out that balance, because that's just going to throw it that much more out of whack.
Yeah. And here's how you'll know, by the way. You'll start MAPS 15 and you'll start getting stronger. And your body's going to start responding the way that it used to, and you'll start to feel that's how you know, like, okay. And you'll know right away, like, you'll start the program within 2 weeks. You'll be like, okay, this was that. Don't do anything else, by the way. Don't add anything to it.
Yeah, that's going to be the hardest part, is that, oh, well, I don't feel like I'm done. And then you keep going. No, you got to stop.
Yeah. Now, let me ask you one more question. Why are you teaching so many classes and doing all this? Is it because you're trying to just make more money, build your business?
I just love it. I love to do it. Okay. My husband and I relocated out to Utah, and we both kind of had a chance to turn over a new leaf career-wise, and it was always something that I was really passionate about. So I kind of went at it full force, like I do most things, and I ended up with a ginormous class load because I can't say no.
Allison,
well,
I would love to. Are you in our course? Are you doing the Mind Pump trainer course?
I have not yet.
Okay,
Get in there, Allison.
I would love to see you in that. Someone with your attitude, okay, because you got a great attitude. I would hire you if I had a gym, just from talking to you. If you had the right training, which we have in the course, and when we teach people in the course, we don't teach biomechanics and exercise program, all that stuff. What we teach you is how to build a business. Someone like you following our course, the amount of money you'll take home doing what you love will go through the roof. And then you'll be able to do less of it and do more of the stuff you want to do on your own. So it's extremely valuable for someone just like you, because a lot of trainers get stuck in the cycle of just doing so much versus having the quality, and this is exactly what I want to do, and I'm making great money doing it. That's what we teach you to do in that course. So we'll send you the link to the course. Take a look at it. But someone like you would crush. You would crush if you followed some of our advice.
Doug's also going to send you the MAPS 15 program too. So you got that all taken care of.
Awesome. Cool. I appreciate it. Thank you guys so much.
All right, Allison.
Thanks for calling in.
Hope to see you in there.
Yep. See you later.
Bye. She definitely got the personality.
You know,
sure.
She got a lot of potential.
If she, and I love her attitude, right? If she really applied it in the right, oh God. Yeah. You know, it's like trainers, a majority of them don't do very well financially, but some of them do really well financially.
She has the personality.
That's right.
She's got the look. She likes yoga and bodybuilding. What a great range.
God.
You know, talk about a great range of like stuff that you could talk to and help your clients with. So, and I like her, like, I do like hearing that from a person who's considering doing bikini. I feel like that's the right mindset. I just think it's bad timing for her.
Terrible. Yeah.
So I would love to take someone like her to a show, but it's like, I would tell her that if she was someone who was trying to hire me back in the day, I'd be like, no, there's no way I'm allowing you to sign up for a show right now till we get all this figured out first. Otherwise, it's throwing gasoline on the fire.
Yeah,
just throwing gas on the fire.
Oh, she'll hammer herself.
For sure. Or you're already telling me you feel that way, and then
you're going to prep?
Yeah, definitely. So I hope she takes the advice. I also hope we see her in the trainer course. I think she'd be a great addition.
Our next caller is Caleb from Oregon.
What's up, Caleb? How can we help you?
Hey, guys. Hey, how's it going?
Good, man.
Good, man. How you doing?
Good. Doing good. Real quick, Adam, did your buddy sell that Wimby card you were talking about a few weeks ago?
It's up right now. He actually has it listed in an auction site right now. And the bidding is started at 5,000. So I don't know where it's at right now. It's a good question.
5,000.
Yeah. Why you want to buy it?
I've been well, I'm a scalper, so I buy and sell trading cards. So
wow.
Okay. So you would know then it's on some famous site. I don't even know. I don't. You're probably way more savvy about it than I am. So he's got it up there. I don't know how long an auction normally lasts in the baseball card world, or basketball card world, but he's got it up there for $5,000 and see where it goes.
This was the easiest question.
Well, I saw one recently sold for like it was like $100K. So I mean,
so he has
there's some good money in it.
He has the most rare. It's not only a Beckett 10, which is really hard to get. You probably know this. And then it's also a perfect centered. So it's a 10 out of 10 out of 10. And the last one that sold for 10,000 was a 9.5. And so he's assuming that he should be able to get that or more because his is a perfect 10 all the way around. And they just don't.
Yeah. And he just won Rookie of the Year. So probably I'd guess 15 to 20K is what I would assume.
That's what he hopes, man. I hope so.
But yeah, anyways, first, thanks guys. You guys are awesome. I'm one of those guys that falls for everything. Like I bought the Gary Brecka $250 water bottle. So I fall for. I always tell my wife I'm one knock away from being a Jehovah's Witness.
Watch out for the bicycles.
At least you know yourself.
Oh yeah. So since listening to you guys, I bought Prime, and I've had back pain for like the last 2 years and couldn't squat 135 without pain, and ran Prime with anabolic, and then finally just got back to a 315 squat.
Yeah.
Which I was always the guy. So I have a 405 bench, and squatting 135 was always a little embarrassing in the gym, but whatever. But my question is, I hear so many different things like Joe Rogan says, not to worry, about food you eat with cholesterol, and Gary Brecka says the same thing. Lane Norton says you're an idiot if you listen to anybody else, and he's way stronger and all that fun stuff. And so my cholesterol is it's always high. And does it matter? Like, if I feel fine, should I worry about it?
Total cholesterol is one thing to look at, but then you have the ratio of HDL to LDL. Then you have cholesterol to triglycerides. So you have to look at, there's a more complete picture. And also how high, like sometimes just high cholesterol could be so high that it becomes an issue as well. So it depends.
And it also
I can give you all my numbers real quick.
We could try doing some of the math here, but we're not doctors. And so I want to be very careful with this because I don't want to advise you on blood lipids and tests like that, because it's not my expertise. I don't want to be off and send you in the wrong direction. But I will say you can look up ratios and look at what ideal numbers look like and work with that. And the other part of the question is, because you did put up here if you should eat red meat and eggs, there's a small percentage of the population where reducing their saturated fat intake, eating less, red meat, cholesterol, it makes a big difference. And for most people, it doesn't. But for some people, it does. You may be in one of those categories where you have a polymorphism where you're better off eating things like chicken, fish, olive oil, Mediterranean style diet. Do you have anything else that's out of range? Like what did your total cholesterol measure?
249, my last test.
Okay.
What do you range?
So that's up there.
What are you at normally?
Well, they say to be below 200. Mine's always really low though.
Oh, I think you're normally really high.
No, my cholesterol is always there's nothing I can do to make my cholesterol go up. It's just way weird.
I think you're the opposite.
And then there's that, right? There's people like me where I could literally eat
dietary cholesterol isn't even a thing.
No, I could eat 12 eggs. I eat red meat all day long. My total cholesterol doesn't go anywhere. But okay, so is anything else out of range? Let me ask you that. Has your doctor said, they've said your cholesterol's high because they don't want you above 200 or definitely not above 220. What about, is anything else that's out of range anything else that your doctor said, hey, we got to look at this?
Well, I got on TRT, and so just from when I first got on it, just like my testosterone was a lot higher. So that was in the high range.
That's expected.
But other than that, no, everything's been pretty fine.
Everything's in range, including your HDL and LDL?
Oh, sorry. I thought you just meant all that. No, HDL is 39, which is supposed to be at like 40, I believe.
Yeah.
And so it's kind of right there. LDL is high. Triglycerides is not, I guess it's good. And then the ratio is high, and the non-HDL cholesterol is high too. Yeah. So you definitely need to change your diet.
Yeah. Because you just gave me a bunch of red flags. And so I would definitely look at increasing omega-3 fatty acids, reducing your omega-6s, reducing your saturated fat intake. I would eat more olive oil. I would reduce my refined carbohydrates. You're going to be in that kind of Mediterranean style diet and you're probably going to respond well with some of the numbers that you're giving me. Now, if it was just high cholesterol's a bit high, but if it was high and HDL was also great, LDL was great, the ratio was great, then it's less of an issue typically. Again, I'm not a doctor, so take everything I'm saying with a grain of salt, but HDL's low, LDL's high, total cholesterol's high, then I would manipulate my diet if I were you.
Okay. So for example, like usually my breakfast, I do like one of those pound packages of beef with 5 eggs. Should I switch the beef to like turkey, you think?
Yeah, or fish.
Or like ground chicken.
You would do really well with fish.
Fish?
Do you like fish? I saw you make a face.
I mean, I eat anything. I don't care. Like I eat anything, but yeah, so it doesn't matter.
You get the benefits of the omegas. That's why with that too.
I would go grass-fed
Make sure
beef.
you're taking the omegas.
Grass-fed beef when you eat it. But I would minimize saturated fat intake overall. So dairy and beef, I would reduce, and I would increase intake of healthy, quote unquote, healthy fats, avocados, olive oil, nuts and seeds, kind of stuff you hear that they tell everybody, but really it applies to someone. It would apply more to someone like you. And
really, you know that this is the thing is when you adjust a handful of those things for the next couple of months, and you come right into range, and then you just fall into that small category of people that are negatively impacted like this.
Are you also just in a perpetual bulk?
I don't really have a goal right now, so I try not to eat like an asshole and just hit like 220 grams of protein a day.
Yeah, because what you'll find too is being in a deficit will probably improve everything.
That's what I was thinking. I thought he was probably eating to be big most of the time, and if you just went on a freaking cut for a couple of weeks, I bet you that in itself would. I
mean, reading your question, it says you mainly eat meat, eggs, cheese with some fruit and some toast. So I would definitely
the best food.
Yeah, well, it's not bad, but for some people it doesn't work well.
Yeah.
So like I said, I would go like look at Mediterranean style diet types of foods and grass fed beef when you can, and fish like wild caught salmon.
Context matters here too, right? Like so to the point we're just making, like there's also the chance that if you actually just you ate these foods but went on a cut, you would see significant improvement.
Well, he's going to anyway. A cut will do that anyway, typically.
Yeah. So you just and that's why I want to make clear here. It's not we're not saying these foods are bad. Like, and I think that's the problem with social media is I know that you have and you brought this up at the beginning of this, right? You have these camps that are this is bad, no, this is good. It's like it's kind of neither of that right now. It's like in this context, you eating in a bulk and eating a lot of extra calories to get bigger. While eating a lot of those foods, your body tends to be negatively impacted. Not crazy. I don't think you're going to die over it, but negatively impacted on a cholesterol level. Simply, one, reducing some of those foods and changing them for things like fish or making sure that you get omegas in the diet, or going on a diet and actually cutting for about 3 or 4 weeks. I bet you both are going to show a positive.
Yeah. When's your next test? Did you schedule another one soon?
I was supposed to have one tomorrow, but I had to cancel because my wife picked up an overtime shift. But so I was going to probably get in either this week or next week.
So if you did this, I mean, you can even try this. Let me position it like this. I would try this, so I'm not telling you to do it, but I would start supplementing with high EPA fish oil on a regular basis, and I would also start supplementing with something called red yeast rice extract, and then I'd retest in about 45 days. Just to see where my numbers were.
Okay. Does this episode post tonight, or should I write all that down?
You should write all that down. It doesn't post tonight.
Okay.
Yeah.
Doug Give him a brand. Equilife has all that, right?
Equilife has that. Not the red yeast rice, but so high EPA fish oil.
It was like Thorn has that, or what?
EPA fish oil.
And then red yeast rice extract. Is what I would do. I'm not telling you to do that, but that's what I would do. And then I would test myself again in about 40 days to see what those two supplements did. That I would look to see what those would do to my numbers.
Okay. And it was red yeast what?
Rice. Like white rice?
Rice.
Yeah.
And one little thing that I would do to add to that too is just seeing this now, getting these numbers back, and I now become aware of this, is I would just make a conscious effort to try and rotate. And this is how I got to this place of rotating my meats. Like Sal is somebody who can eat red meat 3 times a day all day, does nothing. Like I've seen some negative impacts on my numbers when I eat like that all the time. I don't have to necessarily get rid of it. I just have to make a conscious effort to, most of my meat that I eat at home, I eat from Butcher Box because it's grass-fed. That makes a difference. I try and make sure that if I was eating red meat every morning for breakfast, that I rotate fish or ground turkey or get rid of it for one of those days. And so, I would also kind of train myself to start to pay attention to that a little bit more and try and rotate. I think the combination of what Sal's saying and that, you may see a good enough difference.
Two more supplements that I would look into would be psyllium husk with my meals. It's a fiber. and then niacin would be the other one that I would look into. But the first two, I would do because those would have the biggest impact.
I would think the doctors would tell
All
you
right.
not to.
My wife will love more supplements.
Yeah. Doctors would not tell you those things.
The supplements?
Nope.
Perfect.
No. All right, man.
All right. Thanks, guys. I appreciate it.
You got hey, follow up, please. If
Yeah.
you do anything at all, I want to see how things are impacted.
Please.
Oh, I'll do it. I'll do it all to a T. I promise you that.
All right.
All right,
Well,
man.
circle back with this thing,
Thank
Caleb.
you.
All right. We'll do. Thanks, guys.
You don't think Cabral, one of those guys, would tell him that after seeing those numbers?
Oh,
Well,
yeah.
like a functional
Sorry. I thought you were
doctor,
talking
yeah.
about
like one of our
traditional-
doctors.
Oh,
yeah.
So red yeast rice is a natural
Yeah,
statin.
fucking regular general practitioner.
Yeah,
I don't
so-
count
so-
that. That's
Yeah.
okay.
Red yeast rice is a natural statin.
And doesn't
it
Equilife
lowers
have
cholesterol-
that? I thought I heard
No, I don't think-
Cabral talking
I don't
about that
think
one of the
he's
last
got-
times we met.
Maybe, but I don't know.
I thought we talked about it. I thought we talked about it with him.
We'll find out. I know Doug's used it and
I've used it. It
and
works.
yeah,
It works, actually.
Because it's a statin. It's a natural statin.
Fish oil, yeah, for sure.
And the high EPA will help with
Could
your.
have sworn Cabral
with
talked
your-
about it.
Yeah, red yeast rice is what they call
Send it. Send
So
it.
does Cabral have it?
Yeah, he does.
I knew he
Good
had
job,
it.
Adam. Yeah, send it over.
Perfect.
And then the high EPA fish oil is good for HDL ratio. Psyllium lowers cholesterol on a regular basis. When you take that with your meals, it's fiber. And niacin. Niacin is an old school, but a lot of people don't taking niacin because it makes you turn into a lobster for a second. But niacin, you know what they used to do? You know what they used to do back in the day
Hot
for cholesterol
flashes.
before we invented statins and all that shit?
What?
You would take high dose niacin and go in a sauna, and they would see their numbers go.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Yeah. But I couldn't imagine, bro, because I take niacin and I feel like I'm on fire going to sauna.
Yeah.
Yeah, that sounds
No
like a
thanks,
nightmare.
bro.
I know we are trying to avoid like we're not doctors. We shouldn't be telling you this stuff, but I also think that this is just like the point of this, right? Context matters. That's why there's so much crap on the internet of like really smart people that make a really strong case on both sides. Like, man, they're both really smart people. Because there is some truth to it. He could be somebody who responds this way where other people dietary cholesterol like you, does nothing.
Or saturated fat? No.
Doesn't matter, right? But
It's like so much fat.
And then people always tend to like go from one extreme to the other too. It doesn't necessarily mean he's got to get rid of all the red meat and eggs. It's like it could simply mean adding those supplements that you said could make a
Lower the
difference.
volume,
or
seeing a deficit.
going on a cut could make a difference. Or simply rotating your food. Like I'm a big fan of rotating food. I just think that it's ideal for us to try and make a habit of that. Of like if you eat the same goddamn thing every single day, probably a good idea to rotate different meats,
Especially
different
with the seasons too. So you get those, like micronutrients, macronutrients.
Yeah, rotate up your protein sources. I think that's a really, really good basic advice, and those things may actually do enough to move the numbers.
Doug, how much were your numbers impacted by red yeast rice?
Oh, probably good 50 points.
Yep, makes a big fucking difference.
Huge, huge.
Yep.
Our next caller is Karen from Canada.
Hi, Karen. How can we help you?
Hello.
Good afternoon, gentlemen.
Hi.
Hi. I've been listening to you guys for probably 6 years now. And I know that you guys have said over and over that you shouldn't do cardio for size or weight loss. But when you talk about prep for bodybuilding shows, and I follow and I watch Mark Bell run, and he's been running daily, and he's slimmed down to his leanest through cardio, I'm slightly confused. So I have a good base of muscle, and I want to show that muscle. And I've run in the past a fair amount, as well as strength trained. And I was lean and my muscles popped. Now, I don't care what I weigh, but I want to see my muscles. And the reason why I can't see them is that I've had many injuries in the past. And I'm still building back from those injuries, but I still want to reveal my muscles. So can you explain why, when I had the cardio and the strength training combo work before, I was leaning strong? I also realized that I'm in a different decade and things aren't happening as quickly as they used to.
You just answered your own question.
Yep.
So first off, there's nothing wrong with cardio, but to use it as a way to lose fat is not, it's just not effective. And the data shows this. Our experience as trainers and coaches show this. Mark Bell will tell you this himself. By the way, Mark Bell's lost a lot of muscle through this process on purpose. He's trying to. He's a bad example because he was an extreme athlete. He was one of the strongest powerlifters in the world at one point. Also, his hormone profile is nowhere near what a normal human's hormone profile was when he was competing.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't use any of that. And bodybuilders are terrible people to look at for this kind of advice as well, because they're on such anti-catabolic hormones that they get away with the things that they're doing. So there's two things you could do. You could either try to burn more calories or you could try to consume less calories. The problem with trying to burn more calories is your body adapts to extra activity. This is well documented in studies. If this wasn't the case, we wouldn't be here today, because hunter-gatherers would not survive hunting and gathering. Their bodies would burn 7,000 calories a day, and they just wouldn't make it. You could also try to speed up your metabolism. That's another approach. I think that's a better approach. Strength training tends to do that. But if you want to get leaner, it does boil down to how much muscle you can keep and a calorie deficit. Those are the two things that you want to try to consider. And by the way, you look lean. Do you know what your body fat percentage is at?
I don't. Just random calculators. It says close to 30%, but that's all I have.
Okay.
Yeah,
I don't know. So for yourself, we'd have to look at the whole picture. Like, what does your nutrition look like? What does your strength training routine look like? And are there any hormone issues, which unlikely? And then take it from there.
Karen, do you track calories right now?
Yep.
Where are you
I'm consistently between 17 and 1900. Is that building metabolism? I've been doing strength training now for like 9 years.
Is the 1,700 to 2,000 considered a bulk cut or maintenance for you?
I would probably say maintenance, because when I do step on the scale, it seems to hold pretty steady.
So it sounds like to me that what we need to do is to reverse diet. We need to build your metabolism up. Part of why you probably feel like the cardio is the route to go is because you're already at a pretty low calorie intake. And in order to cut, it sounds like 1,400 or 1,200 calories doesn't sound like a good idea or sustainable, which I don't think it is either. And so in order for you to lean out, how do you possibly go from only eating 1,700 calories? Oh, okay, well, I'll just create more activity and burn more. But unfortunately, that's a losing strategy. And so that's the point of us trying to always communicate this, that you would be far better off going on a reverse diet for the next 2 to 3, maybe 4 months, trying to build your metabolism up to where you need 2,500 to 2,700 calories a day just to maintain. That doesn't make you lose. That doesn't make you build. Doesn't make you gain. It makes you maintain at 25 to 2,700. Now you are in a place where we can cut your calories back down to 2,000, and we've created a 500 calorie deficit without doing any cardio or anything else. And then the body will just pare down fat. And the challenge with adding cardio to that is you're already catabolic because you're in a caloric deficit. And then pushing the body where you are running like that is going to make the body pare down muscle because it's expensive tissue and you're not feeding it what's necessary to maintain it on the body. And this is and to Sal's point about the Mark Bells and competitors as bad examples, is the only reason why they can somewhat get away with it. And I'd make the case that they'd still be better off doing it the other way, is because they're taking so much anabolic steroids that it hangs on to muscle better. But this was one of the biggest things I saw in the competing space was all my peers that even though they were hopped up on these steroids and they were doing all this cardio, I thought it was crazy. And you wouldn't see me do any sort of cardio till maybe the last week. And that was only to fine tune that last little bit.
Right before the body adapts to it, right?
Yeah, that's it. Just the final, up until that point, I could get all the way down to 6% body fat without ever once getting on a treadmill.
Now, Karen, there's health benefits to doing activity, to doing cardio and all that stuff. So there's nothing wrong with it from that perspective. But if you're just trying to get more movement, walking tends to be best paired with strength training from a fat loss perspective. But if you want endurance, if you want stamina, cardio is amazing for that. Like it's a great way to build endurance and stamina. And again, there's nothing wrong with it. Now, by the way, just because you've been strength training for 9 years does not mean you've been building your metabolism. And the fact that you're eating 1,700, let me ask you this. How many days a week do you work out?
3 days every week.
So and then are you doing any activity on the other days?
Yeah, I will walk the dogs probably 5 kilometers at least 4 of the days, and then 3 kilometers every other day. Like yesterday, I had 20,000 steps because we did a 8K hike.
Okay.
So the walking, I'm up there with the walking.
Okay, so you're doing a lot of walking.
That's a lot of moving.
A lot of
and
moving.
Strength training for only eating
That's
1,700 to that. You should be.
That's exactly where I was going.
Yeah.
You're not building your metabolism. I think you're not feeding or fueling muscle. I would guess that the strength that you possess now has probably been stagnant for a long time during that period of time. So really, if you want to see the metabolism boost, you got to get stronger. You have to see that metabolism go up, and that means you're gonna have to feed yourself a little bit more in order to make that happen.
Are you following one of the MAPS programs right now? What are you doing right now, Karen?
So I have in the past, and because I think I'm on the hyper flexible spectrum of joints, I am always going through injuries. So I would start a program and then I would hurt myself, whether it be on the strength training or just because I'm straining so much to keep my joints in position that I'll get a tendonitis or something. So it hasn't been consistent like the set number of weeks that you guys say to do a program. So I do have a personal trainer now who will tweak as I need for my injuries.
Karen, when you say repeated injuries, is it the same area or are you just getting injured in different spots?
No, it's always different.
Karen,
I always say I'm funding my physio's yacht. So.
Oh, wow. All right, Karen, listen, you're overtrained and underfed. Yep. That's a classic sign of doing too much and not eating enough, or just kind of repeated injuries where you just keep kind of like, I get on a roll, I feel like I'm doing good, and oh man, this starts to hurt. And then I do it again, and then this starts to hurt. So you're overtrained and underfed. So I would have you, reduce the intensity. I don't know how you work out, but I would reduce the intensity.
Very, very slow tempo.
And then I would feed yourself a little more. There's a few ways you could guarantee that you'll get repeated injuries. One of them is to overtrain. The other one is to underfeed yourself. And the last one is to get poor sleep. Like those three are guaranteed ways to have repeated injuries.
I would love to have your trainer run you through symmetry.
Okay, so this is what I want Doug to give you. I want Doug to give you MAP symmetry, and I want him to give you our reverse diet guide.
Yeah.
And I want you to give it to your trainer if you need to, and let him take you through, or her take you through.
Tell him to go through that. And
take you through symmetry and take you through a reverse diet, and that should be the focus. No cardio. You can walk, but you're doing plenty of that even. I just want you to focus on, and the symmetry, because it's unilateral work, hopefully will keep you from injuring yourself, right? A lot of times people get injured doing bilateral stuff.
Well, it starts with isometrics too, which I think would be super valuable in this instance, because to get you to hold these positions and create more stability around your joints is going to be very beneficial.
Yeah. How many grams?
I also wanted to thank Adam for easing up on the Karen blame and sharing some of that with the Lindas, Susans, and Janets of the
world. Susan.
I was using I think Susan long before like Karen became a thing, right? So I think that's I'm still trained myself to do that.
Karen's got destroyed over the pandemic.
Karen, are you you said you're tracking, so how many grams of protein do you consistently hit?
The minimum will be 100 grams and up to 140.
Okay, good. So you're good. Yeah, so stay on that. That's good.
Yeah, feed yourself more.
Yeah.
Train a little differently. I would reduce the intensity. And then you should start, when you're getting multiple repeated injuries, it's one of those three things that I said, or a combination of all, which is I'm undereating, overtraining, and not getting enough sleep, or a little of each. Because that should not happen.
You're way too experienced, and you've been doing this for too long to only be eating that many calories and not seeing the results. You deserve to be seeing a lot more. And by the way,
and I think
go ahead.
I think when I had my injury and I had wrist surgery last year, I think because of that little activity I did, you just don't eat as much, and maybe I didn't pump back as much as I should have.
Yeah. I definitely want to see you fed. And by the way, if this advice that we're giving, still doesn't work for you, then the next step is for me to have you do like a full panel and check hormones and things like that. Because what we're telling you to increase calories, change up the program to something like symmetry, should do the trick. You should start to see yourself get stronger in the gym. And hopefully you don't see anything happen really like on your waistline. I don't really care if the scale goes up a couple pounds because we could be building muscle, but we should feel like your appetite increase, and we should be able to get those calories up and not put on body fat. Then we know we're heading the right direction. And then if we're not, and we're stalling for some reason, and you're checking all the boxes, the next thing to really go deep dive on is like a full panel and actually see if there's anything going on hormonally.
All right. That sounds perfect.
Circle back with this, Karen. I'd like to hear how things go.
Please.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right.
Bye-bye.
I didn't want to ask her weight, but I'm assuming that she's just way underfed. I mean, unless she's a tiny, petite, 4'11", 90-pound girl, that's way too low calories.
No,
especially that experience lifting that long.
Listen, people need to understand this. Proper and appropriate strength training. This is general what I'm going to say, but proper and appropriate strength training, 80% of people would do best with about 2 or 3 days a week of it. That's it. There's so much you can do in that 2 or 3 days a week. And if it's applied appropriately, like that, not only is it appropriate, what I mean by that is more than that is too much for most people.
Then, you're not just recovering.
It just is.
Well, and you also have to keep in mind when you're that low calorie, it becomes even more imperative. Yeah, like you, and I knew 2 to 3 times a week, fed is optimal.
Yes,
if you're not fed, okay, you're low calorie, which 1,700, like I said, unless she's a 4'11", 90-pound girl, is really low calorie. Especially considering she calls that maintenance.
No, with all the walking and the strength training?
With that much movement, 20,000 steps.
You knew exactly where I was going too, because I was asking those questions. So I was like, this, okay, plus repeated injuries, like you're doing too much.
Yeah. She needs to eat more, build muscle, stay focused on that for a while. And a good goal, if you listen to this, Karen, is to, before we decide to cut, you need to be 2,500, 2,700 calories, right? Totally. Especially with that much movement, 20,000 steps a day, 3 times a week training.
At least in the low 2,000s at the lowest.
At least. But I think 2,500 plus you should be able to eat and not put on body fat.
That's right. Look, if you love the show, we have a fat loss guide. It's free. It's free. You can find it at mindpumpfree.com. You can also find us on social media. Instagram, Justin is at mindpumpjustin. I'm at mindpumpdestefano, and Adam is at mindpumpadam. Wait.